Your blood type was decided before you were born, before your first breath, before your first heartbeat. It was already written into every red blood cell your body would ever produce. Most people learn their blood type once, maybe before surgery, maybe from a curiosity test, and then forget about it. But researchers never forgot. For decades, scientists have been quietly asking a much larger question than anyone expected. Not just who can receive whose blood in an emergency, but whether the type of blood flowing through your veins right now is quietly shaping your biology in ways you were never told. Your blood type comes down to something almost invisible. Tiny molecular structures called antigens, sitting on the surface of your red blood cells like flags. If you carry the A antigen, you're type A. The B antigen, type B. Both type AB. Neither, type O. And layered on top of that is a second system, the Rh factor. Positive or negative, whether a specific protein is present on those same cells. That combination, a positive, O negative, B positive, is the shorthand your doctors use. But what those markers actually do inside your body goes far beyond the label. Because those antigens don't just sit there. They interact with your immune system, with your blood chemistry, with the proteins that control clotting and circulation. And that interaction, researchers began to realize, doesn't look the same in every blood type. The first clue that blood type was more than a transfusion detail came from patterns. Epidemiologists, scientists who study disease across large populations, started noticing that certain illnesses didn't distribute evenly. They clustered. Type O individuals appeared more frequently in some data sets around certain infections. Type A in others. The distribution wasn't random. That was strange. If blood type was simply a surface marker with no deeper biological consequence, you wouldn't expect those patterns. But the patterns kept appearing. In cardiovascular disease, in clotting disorders, in cancer registries, in infection data, the body was revealing something. And the deeper researchers looked, the more unexpected the signal became. Here is where it gets quietly significant. Your blood doesn't just carry oxygen. It carries proteins, hormones, clotting factors, inflammatory signals, and blood type appears to influence how some of those systems behave. One of the most studied relationships is between blood type and a protein called von Willebrand factor, a clotting agent your body uses to stop bleeding. Type O individuals naturally produce lower levels of this protein. Type A, B, and AB individuals tend to carry higher levels. What that means in practice is subtle but real. Higher von Willebrand factor is associated with increased clotting tendency. An elevated clotting risk has long been linked to cardiovascular events, heart attacks, strokes, deep vein thrombosis. Several large-scale studies have found that individuals with non-O blood types, particularly A and AB, show a modestly higher risk for coronary heart disease compared to type O. The word modestly matters here. This is not destiny written in your veins. It is a biological tendency, a slight lean in one direction. But the body was revealing another pattern. Infectious disease tells a different story, and in some ways a more surprising one. Certain pathogens appear to interact with blood type antigens directly. Helicobacter pylori, the bacteria responsible for most stomach ulcers, has been observed at higher rates in type O individuals. Norovirus, the common stomach virus, shows preferential binding to certain blood type antigens. Malaria research has noted that the Plasmodium falciparum parasite, the most lethal strain, causes more severe disease in type A individuals, possibly because it can mimic A antigens to evade immune detection. And during the early COVID-19 pandemic, researchers revisited blood type data and found preliminary signals suggesting type O may be associated with slightly lower susceptibility, though this remains an active and unresolved area of research. The pattern isn't simple. Type O appears somewhat protected against some cardiovascular risks and some infections. But type O also carries an elevated risk for certain bleeding complications, and some research links it to higher ulcer vulnerability. The body doesn't offer clean advantages. Every blood type appears to carry its own biological trade-offs. If the hidden systems inside the human body fascinate you, the things happening beneath the surface that most people never think to ask about, that is exactly what Inside Human is built for. Subscribing keeps this kind of science in your feed. So does it come down to lifespan? Researchers have tried to answer this directly. A large study examining centenarians, people who live past 100, found a statistically notable overrepresentation of type O individuals. The same study found type AB underrepresented in the oldest age groups. Other research has examined blood type against all-cause mortality, the broadest possible measure, and found modest but consistent signals suggesting type O individuals may reach older age at slightly higher rates. But the honest answer is this: the science is real, but the effect size is small. What researchers are measuring is a population-level lean, visible only across tens of thousands of people, smoothed into a statistical signal. It does not predict the fate of a single person. A type AB individual with excellent cardiovascular habits, low stress, consistent sleep, and stable metabolic health will almost certainly outlive a sedentary type O individual with chronic inflammation and a high-sugar diet. Blood type does not override the weight of how you live. What it may do, quietly, continuously, without your awareness, is create a slightly different internal environment, a different baseline, a different starting point for how your body responds to stress, infection, and time. Here is what the research is really pointing toward. Blood type is not a medical verdict. It is one thread in an extraordinarily complex biological system. Your genetics, your environment, your diet, your inflammatory baseline, your sleep quality, your stress hormones, your gut microbiome, all of these interact with each other constantly. Blood type sits inside that system, not above it, not controlling it, but influencing it subtly, persistently, in ways scientists are still working to fully understand. The antigens on your red blood cells are not passive labels. They are active surfaces, biological interfaces between your blood and everything it encounters. And the system built around them has been running since before you took your first breath. Your blood type may not decide how long you live, but it has been quietly shaping your biology in ways no one ever told you, influencing how your blood clots, how your immune system responds, how certain diseases find their way in or turn away, since before you knew your own name. Long before you were ever asked to check a box on a medical form, your body already knew.